just can't wait. You've got the power. Visit your nearest dfcu branch or call your Pinnacle Relationship Manager to get your Visa contactless credit card today, because together we make more possible.
DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
DFCU cares about you. To ensure your safety during this global COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic, here are a few tips to keep you and your loved ones safe. Wash your hands with soap and clean water frequently. Maintain social distancing by avoiding crowded places. Avoid touching your face, nose and mouth with unwashed hands. Cover your coughs and sneezes using a tissue and dispose of it, or use your elbow. Seek medical attention if you develop any symptoms. Use our DFCU alternative banking channels such as quick banking, agent when paying for goods or services, and our ATMs for cash withdrawals to minimize traffic at bank branches. Reach us on 0800 222 000 in case you have any further queries.
Making more possible for you. DFCU Bank.
3D Secure technology makes online payments safer. With this, DFCU Visa contactless debit and credit cards have been upgraded for online payments. A 3-step authentication will be required for some transactions, so you can be sure and secure while transacting online. Reach us on customer care at dfcugroup.com for details. Safe, secure, smart.
Now that's banking at the speed of you.
DFCU, making more possible.
DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
Bank investment clubs, SACCOs, and village saving groups. Now you can achieve more together with the DFCU Investment Club app. Make contributions, monitor your savings, request for loans, pay for loans, plan club activities, get reconciliation reports, and much more from wherever and whenever using your phone or Google Play Store or App Store, and experience how we are making more possible for you. For details, call 0800 222 000 toll-free.
DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
Introducing the Visa contactless credit card from DFCU Bank, the card that gives you power. Are you heading for a girls' night out? Paying for that new gadget? Or going on a weekend getaway? Wallet, phone, mask, and your DFCU Visa contactless credit card. You simply can't leave home without it. Sort out those things that just can't wait. You've got the power. Visit your nearest DFCU branch or call your Pinnacle Relationship Manager to get your Visa contactless credit card today, because together we make more possible.
DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
DFCU cares about you. To ensure your safety during this global COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic, here are a few tips to keep you and your loved ones safe. Wash your hands with soap and clean water frequently. Maintain social distancing by avoiding crowded places. Avoid touching your face, nose and mouth with unwashed hands. Cover your coughs and sneezes using a tissue and dispose of it, or use your elbow. Seek medical attention if you develop any symptoms. Use our DFCU alternative banking channels such as quick banking, agent banking, Visa debit card when paying for goods or services.
For you, DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
3D Secure technology makes online payments safer. With this, DFCU Visa contactless debit and credit cards have been upgraded for online payments. A 3-step authentication will be required for some transactions, so you can be sure and secure while transacting online. Reach us on customercare@dfcugroup.com for details. Safe, secure, smart.
Now that's banking at the speed of you.
DFCU, making more possible.
DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
For DFCU Bank investment clubs, SACCOs, and village saving groups. Now you can achieve more together with the DFCU Investment Club app. Make contributions, monitor your savings, request for loans, pay for loans, plan club activities, get reconciliation reports, and much more from wherever and whenever using a phone or tablet. Download the DFCU Investment Club app today from Google Play Store or App Store and experience how we are making more possible for you. For details, call 0800 222 000 toll free.
DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
Introducing the Visa contactless credit card from DFCU Bank, the card that gives you power. Are you heading for a girls' night out? Paying for that new gadget? Or going on a weekend getaway? So it's keys, wallet, phone, map, your DFCU Visa contactless credit card. You simply can't leave home without it. Sort out those things that just can't wait. You've got the power. Visit your nearest DFCU branch or call your Pinnacle Relationship Manager to get your Visa.
DFCU cares about you. To ensure your safety during this global COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic, here are a few tips to keep you and your loved ones safe. Wash your hands with soap and clean water frequently. Maintain social distancing by avoiding crowded places. Avoid touching your face, nose and mouth with unwashed hands. Cover your coughs and sneezes using a tissue and dispose of it, or use your elbow. Seek medical attention if you develop any symptoms. Use our DFCU alternative banking channels such as quick banking, agent banking, Visa debit card when paying for goods or services, and our ATMs for cash withdrawals to minimize traffic at bank branches. Reach us on 0800 222 000 in case you have any further queries.
Making more possible for you. DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
Us begins with you. Life has become unpredictable in the times that we are now living in. But the one thing that should never be interrupted with, no matter the season, is your banking. We are thus unveiling unique digital enhancements that will make life easier for you. Banking tailored to your with our pleasure attitude. Welcome to banking at the speed of you. DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're joining in and you're listening to us via technology. Welcome to the 56 DFCU Limited. But before we go into the main business for the day, I'll just quickly make some few welcome remarks. Our chairman, DFCU Limited, you're welcome. Chairman, DFCU Bank, I know you're following us online. Our dear directors, shareholders, our regulators, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that your families and your loved ones are staying safe and well. And for those who may have been affected or impacted by the pandemic in one way or another, we pray that you're able to recover and rebuild as soon as possible. Please allow me now to invite and hand over the AGM to our chairman, Honorable Eric Alhanga, who will steer the business for the day. Thank you very much. And Chairman, you're welcome. Thank you.
So you have allowed me to remove my mask. A few minutes ago, Matthias helped to sanitize my face. Good morning, shareholders, guests, and colleagues. I really miss being with you in a physical engagement like this morning, in our usual way, exchanging smiles, listening to your questions, meeting my board of directors physically, and staff, and all of us becoming a family. I really miss this. But we have to do what we have to do. So on behalf of the board of directors of dfcu Limited, and I guess on behalf of everyone, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the company's 56th annual general meeting. So we have 56 years. My name is Eric Arohanga. Drastically. And measures have had to be taken to protect the lives of our shareholders. That's why I am regretting this moment. As you know, on the 55th annual general meeting, that was our first visual general meeting in our company's history. In the same meeting, the shareholders approved of the Articles of Association of the company to allow for holding of meetings virtually. Therefore, in view of the existing government guidelines that restrict human interaction and member meetings, the 56th annual general meeting of today has to be held according to the law and according to safeguarding lives principle of our stakeholders while ensuring business continuity. So allow me to introduce to you our members here. We have our company secretary, is the Managing Director and CEO of our subsidiary DFCU Bank, Mr. Matthias Katamba on my left. We have the Chief Finance Officer, Kate Chiza. Where are you? No, so far away. It must be Rajakara, it must be Rakajara. Rajakari, okay. Who is representing our external auditor for 2020, Ernst & Young. On the live stream, we have Board of Directors of DFCU Limited, so let me introduce them. We can't see you now. Fred. We have Frederick Persa. We have Dr. Amina Zewade. And for Amina, congratulations. She has been picked by His Excellency the President to become the Permanent Secretary for a very, very critical ministry. You will hear about it. ICT and etc. We have Barbara Arimi, and we have Albert Gongakau. Board of Directors of DFCU Bank, we have the Chairman, Mr. Jimmy Mugerwa. Greetings. We have Mr. Albert Jongakau. We have Mrs. Grace Makoko. We have Dr. Winfred Tarinyebwa Chiriawire. We have Mr. Stephen Kale. We have William Kale. We have William Kramer. We have Jackie Aneno Obor Ochora. Mr. Katamba, now the CEO of the DFCU Bank, to introduce members of his executive.
Kiza, participating physically here at DFCU Towers, the Chief Finance Officer, Ms. Hope Ekudu, Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Veronica Sentongo, who is the Chief Change and Innovation Officer, and Mr. Herbert Nkaija, Acting Chief Risk Officer. Also with us are members of the Women in Business Advisory Council, with Dr. Gudula Naiga Basaza, who is the chairperson, Ms. Belinda.
Participating members, please remove that echo. It's fine now, I hope. So, let me start. So participating members shall receive an SMS or email their votes. Right after the poll is closed, the results will be displayed on your screens. Thereafter, they shall be published on the company website within 24 hours, and the outcome shall be deemed to be a resolution of this meeting, enforceable immediately. I shall now call upon our secretary to ascertain whether there is a quorum for this meeting to proceed. Secretary, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, shareholders, directors, guests, and stakeholders. Chairman, I confirm that 676 members registered to attend this meeting. Those represent 69.9%. Confirm, Chairman, that the required quorum is present. I therefore invite you, Chairman, to open the meeting.
I now am pleased to declare the meeting to be properly convened and duly constituted. So notes of the meeting, please scroll up. Upon the Secretary to confirm the notice convening the meeting.
Chairman, a 21-day notice for this meeting was issued. The notice of the annual general meeting was published on Tuesday, 27th, in the New Vision newspaper, as well as on our website.
Thank you.
With your permission, Chairman, I request that the notice be taken as read.
Thank you. Dear shareholders, I wish to welcome you for the 56th Annual General Meeting of DFCU Limited and the second virtual AGM that the company is holding. Evidently, this has become our new normal, and we can only but embrace it and press on despite the challenges that we face. The COVID-19 pandemic we pray that the good Lord may continue to comfort and strengthen you in these very difficult times. As we all know, 2020 was a year that started with a great promise, but was significantly disrupted by COVID-19 pandemic, which impacted supply chains, business activity, and putting a strain on health systems across the globe. Uganda's economy also suffered after the March to July total lockdown intended to contain the spread of the virus, resulting in our GDP growth contraction to 1.4%. The latter part of the year was also epitomized by the political cycle, which also affected business activity and the speed of economic recovery overall. This challenging environment resulted in DFCU Group reporting a significant reduction in profitability. However, there was a strong growth in the underlying business, with the total asset base growing by 18%, adding strength to the financial position and resilience to our fundamental business. However, that notwithstanding, we are delighted to propose a dividend payment to our shareholders of Uganda shillings 17.38 per share, less withholding tax, be paid out for this year, ended 31st December 2020. DFCU Group remain focused on sustaining the business while DFC Group remain focused on sustaining the business while supporting customers to recover during the challenging socio-economic environment. The pandemic reinforced the company's prudence in the allocation and utilization of resources and cost control. We had to continually review our strategy, operating model, priorities, risk, and compliance to ensure that the business survived during the most difficult of times. During the year, one of the longest serving members of the board, our friend Mr. Michael Turner, resigned from the board of DFCU Limited on 1st July 2020, having been on the board from March 2010. The shareholders, directors, management, and staff of DFCU Limited thank Mr. Turner for the contribution he made towards steering and providing oversight to the company over the years in various capacities and on various committees as he served on the boards of both DFCU Limited and DFCU Bank. On 25th August 2020, you appointed Dr. Amina Zawadi as a non-executive director of the company. We welcome Dr. Zawadi, who brings a wealth of experience to the board in the area of information technology and strategy relationship from the public and private sector. She is a senior researcher and a lecturer at the School of Computing and Informatics Technology of Makerere University and a member of the National Information Technology Aneno Borochora was appointed as a non-executive director of the bank on the 28th of October 2020. Jackie is an engineer Put it up. Put it up, please. Yeah. In industrialization and economic growth companies through provision of much seen as expensive. Can't see that thing. Let me just read this. Sorry, Madam Borocha. 20 years of in various capacities in the telecom. So Andera and currently is the country manager of C-Squared Telecom and a member of the Uganda National Task Force on emerging 4IR technologies. Wow. DFCU represents a group that has over the past 56 years supported industrialization and economic growth of Uganda business. The company will continue to play a supportive role, created value chain opportunities for agriculture, transport, construction, hospitality, medical, and others. My detailed statement is on page 23 to 25 of the 2020 annual report, which is available in the company's website. Finally, I would like to thank the entire DFCU team for their dedicated service and commitment during. Also take this opportunity to thank our shareholders in particular, and our regulators, our customers, partners, and other stakeholders for your continued support and confidence, which inspired the team to remain resilient and sail through an unprecedented year, especially our customers. With these few remarks, I now proceed to the business of the annual general meeting. Okay. So what is there? Just the soap comes so blood. No. Just give me a minute. Now, we have a few resolutions. We have taken significant measures to ensure that this AGM mirrors our usual AGM structure. In this regard, members, we shall have an elaborate question and answer session. Page 9, page 5. Just hold on. My papers were mixed. My papers were mixed. Papers were mixed. So I propose that we take the minutes of the 55th Annual General Meeting as read and confirmed as a true record of the previous meeting. We will now have a representation from the Chief Executive Officer of DFCU Bank and the General Manager of DFCU Limited on the business performance for the year. This presentation will help give a background from which the financial statement can be understood and interpreted. I will now invite Matthias and George to take us through the presentations. CEO, okay? My pages were upside down.
I may do it. No, you'll have to do it. Presentation on the performance of the business and the subsidiary, and at some point I will invite the general manager of DFCU Limited to take us through as well. Let me start with the slide on the screen now, just looking at our vision and mission. I think one key theme that you see running through here is the connection of DFCU to enhancing the well-being of our people. Our vision is to be the preferred Ugandan financial institution, providing a broad range of quality products to our chosen segments, with a mission that focuses on growing shareholder value while playing a key role in the transformation of the economy and enhancing the lives of the people. That really speaks to the core of our purpose and what DFCU is really about. In the next slide, we really walk through the journey of the company over those 56 or so years highlighted by the chairman earlier. It shows where we have come from CDC, the British company at the time, and government of Uganda, coming together to provide long-term development finance, walking through in the 90s, acquiring a leasing business and getting a commercial banking license through another acquisition, the listing on the Securities Exchange in 2004 to bring Ugandans into ownership of the company, and down the road consolidating the financial services business. In 2013, a key milestone, the partnership with Rabobank to provide additional value, especially in the agri sector, a key source of livelihood for the majority of Ugandans. In 2014, moving into this current head office building that you see, and then in 2017, 2019, Rabobank and No Finance consolidating of some assets and liabilities of Crane Bank, and then a stake by IFU in the company as CDC exited last year, as mentioned by the chairman. So really there you see a long journey of transformation in ownership, aligning to our purpose of doing more for the well-being of Ugandans. I'll now move into the operating environment and speak a little bit about the economic performance generally. As you all know, from an economic standpoint, global GDP contracted by 3.5% due to major disruptions of supply chains as a result of COVID-19 as it ravaged across the world. So Uganda was not isolated in this as well. We saw a contraction in GDP growth by 1.4%, and we saw core inflation increasing by 2.9% to 5.9% by the end of the year. We also saw interest rates on government securities increase, with a 364-day Treasury bill rate up by 1% from 12.5% in December 2019 to 13.5% in December 2020. So the central bank responded, reducing the CBR from 9% to 7%, trying to stimulate private sector lending to the private sector. And commercial banks responded by reducing rates by 1.3% from 18.8 to 17.5% at the end of the year. All that was geared towards trying to see that the continuity of growth in the economy is supported. On the next slide there, we talk a little bit about some of the operating issues in the environment. Looking at the environment, the effects of the pandemic filtered through significantly. The first lockdown that we experienced after March, and then key active sectors in the economy being allowed to continue operating, but major impacts on sectors that depended on the movement of the people and the getting together of people. Key sectors like tourism and leisure, education, transport, and even building and real estate, as people moved out of the commercial real estate, working from home, working away from the central business district, etc. There were responses that we saw from the central bank through the credit relief programs, in which we participated very actively, restructuring facilities of our customers and allowing liquidity to remain in those businesses. But we also saw some major movements on the regulatory side, like the passing of the National Payments Act, which has now made it possible for fintechs and mobile network operators to participate actively in the financial sector. We think this will be transformational going forward. And of course, it was a major election year which had a lot of political activity in the time which all carried on. But we have also seen, generally as a result of the pandemic and the restructures and capitalization of interest and all sorts of things, increasing customer activism across. But also, we also saw some impact at the beginning of the year with the heavy rains that came that affected yields around the Lake Victoria basin. That was at the beginning of the year. So how did we respond to this environment? DFCU continue to be active in every respect. You know, we restructured loans for our customers, as I've mentioned, allowing repayment holidays and allowing liquidity to remain in those businesses. We removed and in some cases reduced charges on our digital offerings to allow less interaction with the bank physical, but to allow continuity of businesses engaging with our various digital channels. We also enhanced our digital channel footprint and functionality all across, putting in deposit accepting ATMs, etc., increasing our agent banking offering and number of agents. But we also supported very directly and very actively as a corporate citizen, providing support to the National COVID Task Force with items in kind and cash at the same time. We also introduced new ways of working to drive additional employee safety and allowed the observance of SOPs all across our locations and where we could, supporting directly on those SOPs in the communities in which we operate. Just really, again, looking at the social impact that we focused on. So we have continued to engage key players in the agribusiness sector, supported women in business, enabled collections for social security, leveraging our channel network, and also enabled digitization of savings groups, providing computers and accessories to allow them to be able to keep with the pace of digitization and management of their members. From a broader perspective, we continue to support the economic recovery as highlighted earlier, and also participated in dialogues on how to restart the economy and how businesses could recover and thrive post-pandemic. Additionally, we continued with the support, to SMEs to cope with the effects of the pandemic in partnership with the Uganda Investment Authority and other key stakeholders. We promoted healthy lifestyles and physical activity. We continued with our Rising Women program to empower women in business, and also drove safe banking with the promotion of the use of digital channels, as mentioned earlier. On that next slide there, look a little bit at the outlook on the economy as we saw it from 2020 into 2021. As we observe the economic outlook, we see that GDP growth is projected to rebound above 4% in 2021. There are many risks to this, with core inflation below 5%. The key to drive this recovery is the continued rollout of the national vaccine program to contain the spread of the pandemic, and the reopening of key sectors that are still under lockdown, such as education, leisure, and entertainment. Key sectors, education, for instance, having more than 20 million learners in the system, with the attendant businesses that feed off the education ecosystem, suppliers of food, textiles, etc., transportation to and from the schools. All these are critical to come back once a sector like that comes back. Not to mention the importance of leisure and entertainment in supporting many value chains, including the food agri-chain. In the medium term, the major driver of growth outside agriculture will rest on the oil and gas sector after the signing of the oil pipeline agreement between Uganda and Tanzania, and the coming of upstream projects in the oil sector after the final investment decision when it is reached. From a risk perspective, the key risks to this outlook relate to the pace of economic recovery impacted by subsequent waves of resurgence of infections of different variants, in addition to the expiry of the credit relief measures and the issue of domestic arrears and how long that has taken to be cleared in its entirety, coupled with the impact of what this will have on NPAs in the banking sector and the ability to continue extending aggressively growth for private sector, but also the key cybersecurity risks with the increased use of digital technology, not just in our own environment, but across the globe. On the next slide, we take a look at industry performance. Clearly, you can see total credit to the private sector growing by 11.9%. The expectation would have been higher. The biggest gainers there were community and social services at 122% growth, and the communications and transport sector at 67.7%. But we saw generally a reduction on return on equity across the industry, coming down from 16.7 at the end of December 2019, down to 14.2 in December 2020. Again, driven by some of those factors that I have mentioned. On the other hand, you see a continued fall in the yield and, on loan portfolios, a gradual rise in the NPAs there from 4.9%, and an improvement in the liquid assets ratio there as financial institutions worked to bolster their liquidity in the uncertainty of that period. On the next slide, we really look at the financial highlights. I just want to mention that the financials in the annual report, page 104 to page 226. So really, by way of highlights, we see that we had solid growth in our underlying business, with our net loans and advances to customers growing by 15%, despite a challenging year. We also recorded strong growth in our customer deposit base, which grew by 27% as we harnessed digital capabilities and enhanced the customer experience across our channels and increased our financial strength, as well as seen in the growth in our total assets from 2.9 trillion at the end of 2019 to 3.5 trillion at the end of 2020. As a result of this, we are delighted to be able to declare dividends for our shareholders for that year. Moving on to the next slide, we look at the numbers now in slightly more detail there. From the statement of comprehensive income, we can see that our fee income reduced by 22% due to the impact of lowering transaction fees on the digital levy, as mentioned earlier, during the lockdown, with reduced transaction activity generally, as fewer people came out of their homes and less activity happened for businesses. We also see an increase in our interest expenditure by 13% due to the impact of liquidity contingency planning for the pandemic and pre-election period, with attractive pricing on deposits to shore up our liquidity positions and holdings through that crisis management period. However, in terms of operating expenditure, we continued to reduce costs year on year by 0.8%, following a similar trend of reduction in the previous year, 2019, where we also saw a reduction by 4%. Okay. In terms of impairment, provisions for loans and advances to customers significantly increased by 107%, reflecting the impact of the pandemic on customers' businesses. And related to that, there was also a 400% increase in impairment on the financial asset, as seen in the slide there. So the combination of these unique items had an impact of over 80 billion shillings on our earnings, which caused our profitability to reduce by 67% from 73 billion the previous year to 24 billion in the year we concluded. On the next slide, we look at the composition of our revenue. And looking at the composition of our various revenue streams, you will see that in terms of interest income, we continued to lend to customers and also increased our support activity on the interbank market as a net lender throughout that period, tripling the percentage of our revenue from placements with other banks from 2 to 6%. On the other hand, we had a 5% reduction in the composition of our non-interest income revenue when you look at the composition of our total revenue. In terms of interest expense composition, we recorded a 9% reduction in the composition of interest expense on borrowed funds compared to interest expense on deposits, which is part of our continued push to move towards cheaper and stable deposit funds as opposed to the much more expensive borrowed funds. The composition of our revenue not only demonstrates our commitment to continued supporting of customers in challenging times, but also highlights our role as a significant player in the supporting of SMEs and in the financial ecosystem. On the next slide, we now turn on to the balance sheet side, where we saw a 59% increase in cash and balances and a 13% increase in treasury security investments, which was a deliberate effort as a part of increasing liquidity in the contingency planning period, as noted earlier. Having significant liquidity was important in a year with uncertainty, and so that really speaks to that. Our loans and advances grew by 15% as we continue supporting our customers and key sectors in the economy, while our customer deposits grew by 27% as we developed new capabilities to support deposit mobilization, such as the intelligent deposit-taking ATMs I mentioned earlier, replacing our entire fleet. The younger fleet is much more effective and much more up-to-date in terms of capabilities. We also put in an application for group savings, enabling circles and investment clubs to do more. We expanded our agent banking network to 1,200 agents and improved the functionalities and capabilities of that agent network in terms of what agents can do with customers and what support we can give those agents. On the funding side, we had a 19% reduction in borrowed funds, as I have mentioned. However, we continue to align with new funding partners such as AIB, providing lines particularly to support the growth of SMEs. We continue to search for additional partners in that space to enable us to do more, especially in this year and looking ahead as the economy looks to rebound and businesses look for support to come out of the predicament that the pandemic has brought upon many of them. The overall impact of that growth in the underlying business and the increased financial strength was reflected in the 18% growth of our total assets, as mentioned earlier, from 2.9 trillion to 3.5 trillion. Looking at the composition of our financial position on that slide, if you can move the slide. We see that demand deposits increased by 7%, while fixed deposits reduced by 5%. As mentioned, as we align our balance sheet to focus on retail in line with our strategic aspiration of becoming a universal bank. You will recall, as I mentioned in the journey, that DFCU started as a development finance company, providing large long-term financing that was typically not available to commercial banks, by financial banks, commercial banks 56 years ago. Over the years, we have built significant capability to move downstream, and so this is all part of diversification of our business as we move to become a much more universal bank. Furthermore, with enhancement of our digital capabilities, The volume of transactions done on our digital channels compared to over-the-counter has increased by 8%. We see a continued trend in that way as we move customers for traditional transactions onto channels, leaving our branches for much more premium value-added service, particularly on enterprise development. So looking at credit risk profile, the percentage of our loan book that received credit relief by the end of 2020 was 46%. That means up to 46% of our customers either had moratoriums on repayment given to them, restructuring of their facilities to allow them a longer period and relief in that time. The key sectors there, you'll see real estate, followed by agriculture, manufacturing. This is a factor of the size of those portfolios in the bank, but if you were to drill down further, you will see that as a percentage of the portfolio holding within the bank, that impact is also significantly large for hospitality, education, and leisure. I can say, for instance, that the majority of the players in the education sector had their facilities mostly restructured by the end of the year. On the next slide, there we look at just looking at some key indicators, particularly on credit. So lending activity in some of the key sectors there, you will see reducing in agriculture, increasing in manufacturing as the country focused on import substitution. We played a key role in that. Growth again in communication and transport. We saw a significant reduction in building and construction. In leisure and hotels, especially starting at the beginning of the year, we continued to support quite a number of players. We saw a reduction in home loans among others. From the outlook in terms of sector recovery, we see that the sectors that are highly impacted by the pandemic and will also take much longer to recover. You can see on the little table there, leisure and hotels and accommodation, that will take the longest. We see that coming in over 2 years. The building, transport, education, a period of 1 to 2 years, largely depending on how quickly the vaccination rollouts happen. But the much quicker ones in terms of recovery, you see manufacturing, but also there are those that have not really been that much affected, like mining, parastatals, hospitals, communication, etc. Moving on to the next slide there, we take a quick look at our key financial ratios. That we see that irrespective of the drop in our earnings, we maintained a good capital position with core and total capital ratios both improving by 1.3 and 1.2% respectively, which adequately cushions the business for future growth, especially now as a domestic systemically important bank. At this point, what I would like to do is to invite the General Manager of DFCU Limited to take us a little bit through, the equity markets and how we are positioned there.
Matthias, thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt, and thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, our shareholders and all on call. Our slide 21 basically shows the performance of DFCU share related to the all stock and local company indexes. In 2020, the all stock index, which tracks performance of all listed security equities, as well as the local company index, on average, performed lower than the DFCU stock. However, on a year-on-year basis, the two indexes have rebounded, while the DFCU share price is yet to recover. The DFCU share has seen a decline of 6.35%, mainly driven by retail trades. And these retail trades have been from the sales of our retail investors for short-term liquidity, as evidenced by the total transactional value to date of only 6 million shillings. Our counter has also remained relatively illiquid over the period. The next slide. The next slide shows that the company, over the past 5 years, has posted fairly high earnings per share and paid out a good dividend per share. However, from early 2020, with the onset of the pandemic, there has been a lot of volatility. And having gone through 2 waves of the pandemic, the second one of which was worse than the first one, there is need to be fully prepared for the uncertain times and preserve capital to see us through any eventualities. Despite this, as mentioned in the chairman's statement, the directors have recommended a dividend of 17.38 shillings per share with a dividend payout ratio of 54%, which still represents a very high dividend payout ratio compared to the market. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, George. If we now move to look at the future, if I can kindly ask you to move to the next slide. So from an operating standpoint, the key elements that will continue to shape our operating outlook relate to regulatory compliance and changes there, risk management, digital and its application, and the new ways of working and developments in the oil and gas sector as they come on stream. DFCU has since been designated as a DSIB in Uganda's financial sector, and this comes with additional regulatory scrutiny. DSIB is domestically, systemically important bank. So increased regulatory scrutiny will be key, tougher capital requirements in terms of buffers and oversight. However, the bank currently meets the required additional capital buffers, but will also ensure ongoing compliance with the same. So as noted earlier, the credit relief program comes to an end in September 2021, credit relief to customers of banks. And the bank will continue to work with customers and supporting their businesses to recover and thrive after the pandemic. This we are doing in many ways. And so the focus on close relationship management with our customers is critical in this time. On the digital side, the passing of the National Payments Act means that fintechs and telecoms, as I mentioned earlier, can now also do some categories of financial services. We shall continue to manage our costs and deploy technologies to ensure that our offerings provide the much needed value to customers all the way through their respective customer journeys. Finally, the pandemic and its effects have created an environment of volatility, uncertainty, and significant complexity, which has required the need for new and agile ways of working that we have implemented and shall also continue to adapt operating models that focus on flexibility and agility as opposed to the legacy traditional banking approach. So looking at the oil and gas sector, we have an ecosystem-based approach that targets the different components in terms of equipment, construction, real estate, recurrent expenditure categories with our corporate, business, and retail offerings. Furthermore, we also we will leverage our local market knowledge to deepen the local content players' capacity in the oil and gas sector to ensure that our own Ugandan SMEs, whom we have worked with for a long time, are able to harness the opportunity that the oil industry will bring. If we move to the next slide that looks at our strategy. So our strategy is premised on those 4 winning aspirations, as you see there. Moving into being a leader in the industry, transformation into a universal bank, as I mentioned earlier, the deployment of technology and digital across all our operations, and delivering superior financial performance to our shareholders. And how we get there, shows the key pillars of the work streams that we have there, really ensuring that we get the basics right, driving new digital propositions, and ensuring that in the process of all of that, there's value delivered to customers through how we work through with them. Standardizing our service offerings, especially as we mainstream retail growth, optimization of our products, and seeing that we utilize data to be able to drive the right performance metrics. The intention through all this, in order to deliver that superior performance, is to have an aligned institution all across with the right capabilities, with the best-in-class credit management and processing capabilities, and consistently reducing costs in our operations. The intended outcome, and which we will see over the period, is to see growth in revenue, continued reduction in costs, increasing volumes of the number of customers that we serve through channels, alternative channels as opposed to the traditional mechanisms, and also seeing that we increase our returns significantly above market. Mr. Chairman, I would like to stop there, and thank you all very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Matthias and George, for the presentations. Before the financial statements are adopted, I would like to request the external auditors to present their report to the members. I propose that we take the annual audited financial statements for the year ended 31st, 2020, including the reports of the directors and external auditors as read, since they were made available to members. I now call upon Mr. Julius Ruajekare of Ernst & Young, our 2020. I know I pronounced your name very well. External auditors to present their audited opinions to members, please. Mr. Ruajekare.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and dear shareholders, directors. As Chairman has guided, I will consider the auditor's report read, and I will read the opinion paragraph, which is on page 109 of the annual report. We have audited the separate financial statements of dfcu Limited and the consolidated financial statements comprising the company and its subsidiary set out on 114 to 226, which comprise the consolidated and separate statements of financial position as at 31st December 2020, and the consolidated and separate statements of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, consolidated and separate statements of changes in equity, and consolidated and separate statements of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the consolidated and separate financial statements including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statements present fairly in all material respects the consolidated and separate financial position of the group and the company as at 31st December 2020, and the consolidated and separate financial performance and consolidated and separate cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards and the requirements of the Companies Act 2012 of Uganda. Thank you, Chair. The audit report on the financial statements is unqualified, otherwise called a clean audit opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Julius Rajekari. We have taken significant measures to ensure that this annual general meeting mirrors our usual AGM structure. In this regard, members, we shall have an elaborate question and answer session. So before we embark to receive the questions, we shall provide you with the guidelines on how to cast your votes for the resolutions placed before this AGM. Kindly watch the video.
Welcome to the virtual DFCU Limited Annual General Meeting. Once voting has started, you will receive a USSD code on your phone with guidelines on how to vote. You will receive a notification via mobile phone or email prompting you to key in and dial the USSD code on your mobile phone. You will be required to follow the prompts to cast your vote. If you have multiple accounts or hold several proxies on behalf of other members, you will be prompted to vote for the various accounts consecutively. The voting process will be as follows. Registered members and proxies will key in and dial *284 *281# phone network in Uganda and *483 *814# from any mobile network in Kenya. Welcome to the DFCU Limited AGM. Select 1 to proceed. Once you respond, you will receive confirmation of the accounts registered to vote using your number. To vote using the first listed account, select 1. Select 1 if in favor, 2 if against, or 3 to abstain. Follow the same prompts for all other ordinary and special resolutions. Members with multiple accounts shall be prompted to vote until they exhaust all accounts. Once voting is completed, you shall receive the final prompt confirming that your vote has been accepted. Shareholders will receive an SMS with their live stream link. Once you click the link, you will find the vote button on the dashboard. Click the button, then click the voting options as per your choice. Once completed, click the Vote for Motions button to complete voting. The start and closing voting times will be announced by the chairman during the meeting. Results of the poll shall be published on the company's website within 24 hours following conclusion of the annual general meeting.
We thank you, shareholders, for the several questions you posted online. Responses to the questions have been uploaded. I will now invite some questions from you during this live feed. Let me ask George, who has a laptop, to upload them.
Thank you, Chairman. We have a number of questions that were posted by you, the shareholders, onto the live feed. We had questions from several shareholders, but most of them were relating to the dividend 2019 and then also 2020. But as you, our shareholders, are aware, in 2019, you did not recommend a payment for dividend, so no dividend was paid. Is going to be paid is the dividend for 2020. There was a question on when dividends will be paid. The dividends, Mr. Chairman, will be paid by the 9th of September 2020. And then there were also questions from who have not been receiving their dividends. For those, most of them don't receive their dividends because they have not updated their records, including bank details, and would request them to contact our share registrar, Deloitte, or our company secretary, Legomark Advocates, or DFCU Limited, or any of our branches. And all the addresses are posted on our website. Mr. Chairman, we also have questions that came through during this session, and I'll just read through. We have a question from shareholder Justin Tumwesije, and this one I'll ask the CFO to answer. It says, why did the dividend and share reduce from 50 shillings to 17 shillings?
Thank you, George. Good afternoon, shareholders. Good afternoon, Chairman. The reduction of the dividends from 50 shillings per share to 17.38 per share was part of the bank's strategy and the group's strategy to conserve capital in the turbulent times that we're going through. At the time we published the financials, the pandemic was getting a bit low, but by then we went into the second wave, it got worse, and we went into another lockdown. Who knows what's happening? So at the moment, it is preserve what we have. The second one is that, of course, the CEO mentioned, we have been designated as a domestically, systemically important bank. So that means we need to preserve a bit more capital in order to make sure that we don't fail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate. The next set of questions relates to operational and for our account transactions, please. This is by shareholder and Sereko Christian. Could it be true that the Crane Bank fiasco is causing this very low dividend, even with other factors as the pandemic takes effect? And the last one is, why is the legal suit by CBL being filed in England? What's the cost implication of defending the suit in England as opposed to Uganda? I think those are the questions that, the last one? All of them. The first one relates to alerts, account alerts. Can we get text message alerts for our account transactions? The second one is from Priscilla Ondoga, saying, could it be true that the Crane Bank fiasco is causing this very low dividend, even with the other factors as the pandemic affects, the effects of the pandemic take place? And then, why is the legal suit for CBL being filed in England? What's the cost implication of defending the suit in England as opposed to Uganda? Mr. Chairman, those are the questions that have come online. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Matthias, please answer those. There are some questions which were also recorded earlier. After you, we shall play the questions and then answer them.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairman. In terms of alerts, following transactions, we actually do provide alerts. following transactions. But what we will do is we'll have someone reach out to Mr. Nsereko just to make sure that that is resolved on his account. But we do provide alerts following all transactions. So you will have seen in terms of the question of an aspect of the previous year performance, the impact on the financial asset, the 400% impairment of that I mentioned earlier. These relate to the acquisition and other related costs. So those are there. In terms, I can't really comment on a court case and where it is filed and etc. But you will have noticed on Monday that dfcu Limited put out a notice to provide clarity on that case as it was brought. I think beyond that, it would be improper to comment on a matter before a court of law.
Maybe you can briefly highlight on the clarity.
So I'll invite the company secretary of dfcu Limited, to speak on the clarity of the legal matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. In brief, and without going into the details of an ongoing legal proceeding, Crane Bank Limited and some of its shareholders sued dfcu Limited, dfcu Bank, and other defendants in the English High Court, and the suit relates to the transaction under which dfcu Bank acquired some assets and assumed some liabilities of Crane Bank Limited in receivership following a sale by Bank of Uganda, who was the receiver at the time. That's the clarity on the case, and we are unable to comment further on ongoing court proceedings at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Company Secretary. Now let's hear the recorded questions. Oh, Matthias, you can make any more comment you want on that.
Okay, so again, maybe to provide clarity, further clarity on the impact of the financial asset and what it is. So it's a combination of non-performing loans that we took as part of the acquisition, on which we recover. So when recovery is not happening fast enough, that's how you get that impairment. So that impairment is what had that 400% increase in its impairment that also contributed. That is a significant contributor to that 80 billion of what we call unique items last year that have impacted our earnings. Thank you, Chairman.
I think that clarifies the position. Now let me ask George to upload some of the live questions that are coming through right now as we speak.
My name's Annette Mutesi. How much dividends do we receive, and is it monthly or quarterly? Thank you.
I'm still a shareholder, dfcu. My question was on when is the bank opening the branch in Namangwe area, where they have a building and it has been complete like for the last 2 years. Business is growing, factories are coming up, but the branch is not open. I think they are losing business there. They should open quickly and make money for the company. Two is the Rwenzori region. The branches are very few. Fort Portal City, there is no branch. The area is busy. It is a city now with many business men and women. I think they can also open a branch and have a profit made for the bank and the company. Over to your management and the board. Thank you.
Okay, so let's take those. Who is taking first? Matthias, go first.
Perhaps I can comment on on the branches and looking at Namamve. So as you will know, last year, the last year was really not commensurate with opening branches. What we're looking for mostly to do is to increase what we are doing on our digital channels. In fact, as a result, during the course of last year, we would momentarily close some of the branches just to deal with the pandemic issues relating to crowds and populations and things like that. Those in malls would close, etc. Let me just say, though, that the location in Namambe is fully utilized because the branch is the only component which is visible to the public. But otherwise, that particular location is a key location for us for a combination of things. We have very significant technology installations there. We have a training center which is state-of-the-art, fully functional and key in use. We have been using that location significantly as we're doing our manpower location planning during the course of the year. As you would imagine, in these pandemic times, we reduce the concentration of people per location. So for instance, if you bring the head office down to say 10, 20 or 30% capacity of staffing, then you get those staff working in alternative locations. And that particular facility has been extremely, extremely crucial for that. Let me say that we also intend to open the branch at some time, and that's one of those things scheduled for a further closer look next year. But also we plan generally to realign our branch locations. As you know, we are very heavy in the Kampala area. As a matter of fact, we have the largest branch network of all banks in the greater Kampala metropolitan area. So over time, as we rationalize to see where are we missing value in terms of reaching our customers, because we need the branches in as far as we have them to complement our digital capability, to see that the service to customers is consistent, digital first for payments, etc., but also value addition for enterprise development, etc., where we have locations such as a branch. And we acknowledge the importance of the Rwenzori region in that framework. So that is something that we also plan to look at in the coming years. Thank you very much, Chairman.
A shareholder for that question. One, dividends are only paid once in a year. We don't have quarterly or monthly payments. And you asked about how much. For this year, if the shareholders approve the dividend, it will be 17.38 shillings per share. So if you have 1,000 dividends, you multiply by 17.38 and will be paid less with. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Matthias. And thank you, shareholders, for those questions. Are there any more online questions coming through?
Mr. Chairman, there are no more questions online.
Okay. Thank you, shareholders. I thank you so much for this interactive session. It means we are getting there. We are getting to modernization. We shall now proceed to vote on the ordinary resolutions before you. Now, I request the Secretary to read the first resolution. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairman. It is proposed that the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2020, including the reports of the directors and external auditors received and laid before this meeting, be adopted.
So do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution to approve the financial statements?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Mr. Isaac Sambwa Makumbi and seconded by Mr. Oleg Alex.
See how I marvel at the new technology. I now put the resolution to the meeting and ask for members to start voting. Shareholders, the Board of Directors recommends that a final dividend of Uganda shillings 17.38 per share, less withholding tax for the year ended 31st December 2020, be paid out to shareholders. Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution to pay dividend for the year 2020, Secretary?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Mr. Philip Oundo Okumu and seconded by Mr. Chimuli Gavin.
Very good. So now I put the question to the meeting and ask members to vote. The third resolution on the agenda is to consider and, if deemed fit, confirm the appointment and re-election of directors in accordance with the provisions of the company's Articles of Association. And under Article 112 of the company's Articles of Association, 1/3 of the directors are required to step down at the annual general meeting, but to remain available for re-election. In line with this governance practice, Mr. Frederick Persa and Miss Arimi Barbara are stepping down but offer themselves for re-election. Their profiles were uploaded on the website and circulated to shareholders. I now ask the Secretary to read the resolution. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairman. It is proposed that Mr. Frederick Pelsa, who retires by rotation and being eligible, be re-elected as a director in the company.
Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution to approve the reappointment of Fred?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Mr. Charles Emojong and seconded by Mr. Isaac Celestine Chiveru.
Thank you. I now put the resolution to the meeting and ask members to vote. Right. I now ask the resolution to the meeting and ask the members to vote. Secretary Ono Arimi Barbara.
Mr. Chairman, the proposal for resolution is that Ms. Arimi Barbara, who retires by rotation and being eligible to be re-elected as a director in the company, be appointed.
Very good. Do we have a seconder for the resolution and a proposer?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Mr. Michael Chaku and seconded by Mr. Richard Luwande Onyango.
Thank you, Michael and Mr. Onyango. I now put the resolution to the meeting and ask members to vote. Thank you. The fourth ordinary resolution to consider is the approval of the fees payable to the non-executive directors for the year 2021. Shareholders, the directors do not recommend, again, any changes to the fees payable to the non-executive directors. I now ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Chairman, it is proposed that a resolution be passed to approve the proposed fees payable to the non-executive directors for the year 2021.
Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Mr. Sulaiman Sembaja and seconded by Mr. Sebaduka Swaib.
Thank you, Sulaiman, and thank you, Bwana Sebaduka. I now put the question to the meeting and ask members to vote. We now have to consider and approve the appointment of Ernst & Young as the external auditors of the company for the year 2021. And I now ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Thank you, Chairman. It is proposed that a resolution be passed appointing Ernst & Young as the external auditors of the company for the year 2021 and to authorize the Board of Directors to negotiate and approve their remuneration.
Very good. Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the resolution, Secretary?
Yes, Chairman. The resolution has been proposed by Ms. Nsima Catherine Caroline, Ms. Katimbo Vega Virginia, and seconded by Mr. Sajabi Samuel.
Very good. So I now put the resolution to the meeting and ask members to vote. Those who have not yet voted for all the other resolutions, I'm going to close the process now and give you 10 minutes to actually vote. And then the tallying of the votes shall be concluded and presented to you.
Hi, I'm Rukshana. Welcome to this episode of The Gist, brought to you by DFCU Bank. Now, before we get into the conversation, on behalf of all of us at DFCU, we extend our strength, comfort, and condolences to everyone that has been and is being affected by COVID-19, and that's pretty much all of us. And that is why it is important that we stick with the guidelines and follow the SOPs, and obviously take responsibility for our lives and everyone around us, because in this fight against COVID-19, we are indeed each other's first line of defense. But for purposes of this conversation, I will take off my mask and I will request my guests to do the same as we get into the conversation. And over the past couple of days and weeks, you might have seen or heard about DFCU's new campaign. So joining me today are two colleagues who will be able to speak a little bit more about the campaign, what it promises for both the bank's existing customers and those who are yet to become our customers, hopefully very soon. But I'd like to ask my guests to introduce themselves by name and, of course, by title. And I'll start with the lovely lady.
Hello everyone, my name is Farida Nandubega and I'm the manager for cards and money transfer in DFCU Bank.
Welcome, Farida. I'm looking forward to having the conversation on cards and security around cards, because that's a major concern for a lot of people.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Shana.
Hello everyone, Lloyd Jonathan Busura is my name. I head the Alternative Channels Department of DFCU Bank.
Look, that's a very fancy title, Head of Alternative Channels. What exactly does that really mean, and why should our audience or our customers even care about alternative channels?
Alternative channels is basically refers to the other options a customer has to transact with the bank. Once upon a time, banking and transacting with the bank was skewed to brick and mortar or to branches. Thanks to technology, we have very many alternatives through which a customer, or very many options through which a customer can transact. For DFCU Bank, we have the agency banking network.
Sorry, and this is about me being able to bank in my neighborhood Kafunda, right?
This is about you being able to bank in your neighborhood Kafunda, and neighborhood retail shop, into the hardware shop, into the supermarket, with over 1,500 agents all over the country. Then we have the ATM network. DFCU currently is running with over 70 ATMs, both on-site and off-site. On-site basically means the ATM is at the branch, and then off-site, it's off the branch network. And the mobile and internet banking. Over 60% of our customers are signed up for mobile and internet banking. This basically means that they can do their transactions at using all these channels. So as a strategy as DFCU Bank and as the head of alternative channels, mine is to see that migrate most of the customer transactions, all the customer transactions from the brick and mortar to the alternative channels, or to the digital channels.
But I'd like to open Farida right now. As manager of cards and transfers at the bank, could you tell us a little bit more about the world of possibilities that this new campaign, opens up for customers, especially in your area?
Yeah, so Shana, when Lloyd speaks about alternative channels, or when you speak about digital solutions, they are key enablers that will help the customers to actually access some of these channels. And one of those key tools that the customers can use is a product that falls under me, and that's the cards business. So DF is currently offering a debit card, and we're also offering a credit card.
What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so I'll break it down further, Shana. A debit card is a card that we're going to issue out to a customer that's linked to any operational account, and the customer enabled, and then you can also use your card online. So then the credit card has a different dynamic to it. So it's a line of credit. What we're saying is that you as Shana can come to us, we assess you, see how much credit you qualify for, and then we are going to issue a card. Installments. So the key difference handy. So for the credit card, the bank is giving you money, and then you are obliged to pay back at a later date and in affordable installments.
A lot of people, and I'm one of those who's sort of guilty, who will tell you that they will not do online transactions.
We have ensured that we are trying to add another layer of authentication for our customers who are transacting online. What we are saying and promising to the customer that the moment you get your DFCU card and you go online, trying to probably buy a ticket, trying to do purchase something on Amazon, your own PayPal, we are going to add another layer of authentication, which is in form of a one-time password. So this one-time password will come to either your phone or your email addresses. So we know the card when they're out of the country and probably they're not roaming. And that's why we added the second layer of your one-time password coming to your email address. So this one-time password, Shana, is going to be required for you to complete that online transaction. And there are merchants in the world who are not yet 3D enabled. So not at all sites that the customer transacts, the customer will get a one-time password, but a good percent end, you need
banked. And sometimes you're in a rush, you're doing a transaction, and that password just doesn't come.
True.
It really doesn't come. So is that something that you're handling on the quick banking side?
So as a bank, we went back to the drawing board and looked at the solutions worldwide, what we can do to enhance this. So we have a new authentication method, all approval method, and it to Lloyd, X, Y, and Z. Do you want to complete this transaction? So at the click of a button of either yes or no, the transaction will either be executed or rejected. So we are moving our customers from the one-time password to trust factor, and we believe this will improve the success rate, and it will also address the challenge that the customers are facing with the one-time password. We're currently in pilot phase, and to the customers that have been using it, they are happy about the new innovation or the new direction the bank is taking.
Does it also protect me against I accidentally sent money to Farid and I wasn't ready to quite send the money? Does that trust factor help with that?
It helps in a way that it will, as you're executing, remember the first you have to input the details. You're sending to Farida, but then you input Lloyd's number and all that. So as you click to say send, it will bring the message.
All
so
the
it will,
details
it will
first,
give
so I can read
all
them.
You can read all the details. So you kind of have a second level of the second eye to look into all the details to confirm whether it's actually Lloyd or Farida. But the moment you say yes, then you can't get those funds back. But one, you will have to input the details. Then two, trust factor will give you the option to reread and say that this is the information I actually want to send. So at least you have a second level where you can confirm whether the transaction is okay or not.
So what are the other enhancements that the customers can expect to see as far as quick banking is concerned?
We have what we call the bulk payments. So we have on the corporate side, we have NGOs, we have companies that have workers they want to pay. So the accountant of that particular company can prepare a pay schedule, upload it in quick banking, and then salary payments can go to in the bank. We're also doing extending credit using the app. Sooner than in the next couple of days, we shall be launching our mobile loan application. Mobile loan application in the sense that for anyone who wants to have wants to get there are some algorithms we run to that Lloyd with the kind of banking is credits and debits and his statement. I can qualify, say, for 1 million shillings. Farid, I can qualify for, say, 500. Shana can qualify for, say, 2 million. Then we mark this limit onto your account. So when you go into the mobile loan menu, you will see that you can get up to, say, 700,000. So you can decide to apply for the 700,000. Bankings improve. When your bankings improve, then the limit is adjusted. Before Farida gives you the credit card, you can first use the.
I'm not sure Farida is going to be very happy about that.
Give you the credit card, you can first use the mobile loan. Then also now mobile and internet banking, we have the ability to pay school fees now. Remember the days when the child is going back to school and you have to line up? You can pay school fees, you can pay your taxes, you can do your NSSF, you can do the domestic transfers. So all these enhancements, we're bringing all the services, all the functionalities that are being done in branch onto the app and onto the internet banking, or what we call quick banking, so that you bank at your own speed, you bank at your own pace, you don't have to walk into the branch.
But I must admit it's a bit of a headache because now our kids are also aware that we have our banks on our phone. So the stories of the bank is closed don't quite happen anymore.
I think then you have
our kids are like, but mommy, you have your phone, so you can actually pay now.
Then you have to do some financial literacy to the kids and tell them the money, the bank could be on the phone, but the money needs to be used sparingly. So yes, and when we're doing all these innovations and developments, I'll keep talking about the voice of the customer. We come to the market, we listen to the customer. What does the customer want to see? Now, we've had customers who say they want to open secondary accounts, they want to open accounts for their children and things like that, and they don't want to come to the bank. So sooner than later, we shall be opening that up still on our internet and mobile, that you can open a secondary account for yourself, for your child. You can open a fixed deposit. You can request a bank draft. We want to integrate into the card space so that you can block your card. You can request for a new card. You can see your credit card balances to you. So you have the bank in your pocket. You bank at the speed of you.
Okay, perfect point to bring this conversation to a close. And that's all we really had time for. Jen, we would like to say thank you for watching. And if you'd like to know more about the DFCU Bank products and services that have been discussed today, please reach out to us on through any of our channels on the screen. From DFCU Bank, thank you once again for watching, and remember to stay safe.
Us begins with you. Life has become unpredictable in the times that we are now living in. But the one thing that should never be interrupted with, no matter the season, is your banking. We're thus unveiling unique digital enhancements that will make life easier for you. Banking tailored to your exact needs. A combination of the power of technology with our pleasure attitude. Welcome to banking at the speed of you. DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
Online payment safer. With this, DFCU Visa contactless debit and credit cards have been upgraded for online payments. A 3-step authentication will be required for some transactions, so you can be sure and secure while transacting online. To authenticate purchases made with your DFCU Visa contactless debit and credit card, a unique one-time password will be sent instantly to your registered mobile number or email address. Reach us on customercare@dfcugroup.com for details. Safe, secure, smart.
Now that's banking at the speed of you.
DFCU, making more possible.
DFCU Bank, with pleasure.
With pleasure. Dear shareholders, we thank you so much for participating in this voting process. I shall now ask that they display the results of your vote, and I will ask our external auditor, Mr. Julius Rajekare, the representative of Ernst & Young, to confirm the results of the poll and its process.
Thank you, Chairman. Dear shareholders, we were engaged to perform procedures on the virtual hosting solution provided by Image Registrars Limited for the purpose of hosting this annual general meeting. We have tested the configuration settings of the application, the change and access management processes, and the application controls that are relevant to the voting process. We have also been monitoring the voting process to check that the protocols that we are defined are being followed. We have not identified any material issues relating to the voting process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julius. Thank you. Very good. So now, it's my duty to thank you, shareholders, to thank you, Board of Directors of both organizations, to thank the management, to thank the regulators, and all our customers and shareholders for taking the opportunity to be in this meeting, the 56th AGM. I now want to make a small personal statement. Briefly, I would like to formally inform the shareholders, as I have already informed the directors, that I intend to retire early from the chairmanship of the board. As you know, last year you gave me 2 years to serve, but I'd like to retire and I would like to give a 1-month notice ending 30th of September to step down from the position of chairmanship. I want to tell you that this is an emotional moment for me because DFCU has made a big difference in my life. When I was headhunted by the directors and approved by you shareholders 15 years ago in 2006, I was a relatively young man and very brisk and very ambitious and looking forward to serving my country and give back. I had left Parliament at the time and I had very little to offer except politics. I didn't know much about banking. You've taught me a lot. I've learned a lot from my colleagues and the shareholders. And I invested in DFCU Bank myself as a shareholder, the director. I gave my all. And very, very grateful that you kept on giving me the opportunity every time I came up for re-election. I now must give way to younger people to come and serve our bank and our organization and make DFCU the organization I want to see it be. I will be your ambassador out there. I will also be participating a lot because I'm still chairman of the Private Sector Foundation and a big trustee of the oil and gas and mining in business. I will be relevant to the bank, always be a customer, and I pledge my entire support as long as I live. Thank you very much. Thank you, shareholders. I hope I will get the chance to make a longer statement. Thank you. God bless you. Secretary, do you have any other business that we can convene that is A or B? There was nothing like that, I think.
Chairman, there was no other business for which notice was given. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we have an award called the Dr. Karema Award to see some of our lads and lasses who have performed brilliantly. And normally, it is our HR who comes out and gives us some kind of pleasant dessert at the end of our AGM, where we can see our brilliant brains. So, can I ask? Yes? Okay. Okay, so let me invite Matthias.
Like to invite through your chairman, Mr. Fred Pelsa, one of the directors, to give a vote of thanks to you, Mr. Chairman, for having carried us so wonderfully, not just through today, through the years.
DFCU management and staff, I hope you are all well and your families are keeping well in this challenging time. Thank you for allowing me to make a couple of remarks. It's definitely an emotional moment. On behalf of the board and the DFCU family, I wish to thank our Honourable Chairman, Mr. Eli Kuruanga, for his outstanding contribution and service to DFCU over the last 15 years. His leadership, guidance, and resilience have been fundamental to the DFCU progress and transformation. His dynamic leadership will be missed by all of us at all levels. We know Mr. Karanga as a very warm and committed member of the DFCU family, who have played a valuable role in the success and growth of DFCU for a very long time. As such, he can be regarded as an anchor of the DFCU family. He will always be remembered for all that he has done, and his legacy will continue to spur us forward, even after his early retirement from the board. He is seen always be remembered for all that he has done, and he is seen as a true leader and created a platform that allows directors freely to express their views and contribute to the well-being of DFCU. He has been a source of our inspiration for the board, management, and staff to create an environment for individual growth and change. He is indeed a true example of a leader and a mentor, and we were lucky to have him as a friend, a colleague, and a chairman of the board. On the 30th of September 2021, a vacancy will be created on the board, as it will be the effective date of Mr. Karanga's retirement. The board will therefore initiate a process to fill the vacancy position on the board, and in accordance with the Articles of Association of the company. Once again, we wish to extend our sincere gratitude to Mr. Eli Karanga for his distinguished service. We wish him and his family all the best in his future endeavors as well. Thank you, sir, and really appreciate your service.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, let me ask Matthias to take us through the Dr. Karima Award presentation. Just asking you for about a few minutes to go through this.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Please allow us to present the winners of the Dr. Karima Award, as has been the practice of the bank. It has become the norm that DFCU Bank does this, and on this occasion, the staff that we will present to you that have been outstanding will be presented in the form of a pre-recorded video. We could not have them here physically in order to manage the numbers allowed in a location. I would now ask that the video be played at this moment. Thank you.
In the words of Ralph Mattson, excellence is not a skill, it's an attitude. In honor of a long-serving and outstanding DFCU Bank board member who stepped down after 14 years of exceptional service, the Dr. William Kalema Award of Excellence was launched in 2012. The Dr. William Kalema Award of Excellence is eligible to staff who have been outstanding performers in their roles, compliant to DFCU values, dependable, that is, they work independently, get along with peers in management, have good grooming, good attendance, and are team players. They're loyal to the bank and the brand, upbeat, positive, and always have a proactive attitude. For the year 2020, we had 12 who achieved a 5 rating, significantly exceeding their 2020 targets. But 10 were eligible in the running for the award because 2 of them, Innocent Tube and Susan Lacop, have won the award in the past. Following a call to all staff for nomination with a response from 616 staff, the following emerged top 3. In third position, The staff saved 13% of the branch budget, contributed 6 billion shillings towards the branch profitability by minimizing income leakages and managing the branch operating expenses. This 5-rater has been part of the DFCU family for the last 9 years and is currently a branch operations manager and previously worked in several branch roles including personal financial consultant, account services officer, chief teller and a teller. This 5-rater is an effectual team player who plays to win. She is committed to operational excellence and goes the extra mile to support the branch achieve its targets. Dear shareholder, our second runner-up this afternoon is Charlotte Luede, the branch operations manager, Masaka branch. In second position, this 5-rater is the true meaning of service above self. With a positive attitude, they bring the best version of themselves to work every day. They collaborate, engage, challenge and look at things from a different perspective, resulting in increased non-interest income. This 5-rater reconciled over 66 proxy accounts that were not part of their core duty in 2020. Additionally, they took it upon themselves to pick up and resolve audit queries. This 5-rater has been very keen on the revenue assurance role and as a result, finance credited the P&L with 600 million Uganda shillings relating to fixed deposit interest expense, 700 million relating to annual review fees, and 1.9 billion Uganda shillings relating to deferred fees and commissions. This 5-rater has been instrumental in timely and accurate filing of URA returns and was a project lead for the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing system, which was completed within the required deadlines with no extension. This 5-rater has been part of the DFCU family for the last 7 years and is passionate, eager to learn, a team player and the epitome of excellence. Dear shareholders, our first runner-up this afternoon is Vimal Kumar, Financial Officer at the head office. And finally, the winner of the 2020 Dr. William Kalema Award. With customer centricity at the heart of what they believe, this 5-rater always goes the extra mile in their call of duty to serve and delight customers. They serve consistently with passion, commitment and are professional. Last year, despite the lockdown and slowdown of business activity, they found creative ways to exceed their business targets. This 5-rater has been eligible in the past for the award twice in the year 2018 and 2019, an affirmation that they are truly exceptional and deserving of the award. They have served the brand for 9 years in various roles including teller, personal financial consultant and pinnacle banker, and more recently, they were promoted to relationship manager, business banking. As we announce the winner, may we all stand and get ready to give a standing ovation as we announce the winner of the 2020 Dr. William Kalema Award. The winner gets to participate in the next online Rabo Partnership Future Leadership Program, giving them a unique opportunity to gain in-depth knowledge and also share experiences with banking specialists from Rabobank and its partner institutions from around the world. Dear shareholders, the winner of the 2020 Dr. William Kalema Award is Dillis Akello.
Congratulations to the winners, especially our daughter Akel. Well done. I suppose there being no any other business of which due notice was given to the meeting, I take the opportunity therefore to thank you all once again for attending this 56th annual general meeting. I also take this opportunity to appreciate, in particular, the board of DFCU Limited, the board of DFCU Bank and the chairman, in particular, the staff of DFCU, our company secretaries, legal mark advocates, image registrars who have tried to put this out and successfully done so, and the work that they have done that has caused the success of this meeting. And I want to thank you all for attending, and therefore it is my now cardinal duty to declare this meeting officially closed. Thank you.
Twende tupate, twende tupate, twende tupate, twende tupate. Twende tupate, twende tupate, twende tupate, twende tupate.